Hello and welcome to Monday Morning Detective, the podcast. I'm your host, Gino Scala, and this is episode number 53. This is going to be a follow-up of episode 44.2, where a victim by the name of Christopher Wright in the state of Maryland was beaten to death by a group of men after being confronted at his house over a fight that took place in school between his young son, elementary school, and one of the suspect's sons, also in elementary school. So just to make it clear, we have two young boys, ages unknown, but in elementary school. They're engaged in a schoolyard fight. It happens all the time. Apparently, the loser of the fight goes home, tells his dad and a group of his friends march over to the other boy's house, which was the son of Christopher Wright, W-R-I-G-H-T, and they insisted that the boys, the two young boys, have another fight to determine who the winner really is. Christopher Wright, being a stand-up father, said that's not going to happen. My boy is not going to get engaged in a fight, so you can get off my property. The men said basically that if they don't fight, we'll fight you and see who wins. And the fight was on. It's unknowing, Christopher's personal responsibility as far as the fight going, whether or not he threw the first punch or whether or not he accepted the challenge. Those details are not known. But what is known is that the group of men beat this man to death. Now, this took place May 20th of this year. Today is July 20th. Of 2023. That's 2 months to the day from the time he was beaten to death. And during those 2 months, these suspects were allowed to run around free and enjoy life. This I don't understand. Now, I know the procedure in some cases that you gather evidence and you go to a grand jury and indict the suspect, or try to indict the suspect. Apparently, I'm not even sure if that happened here. All I know is that the state's attorney's office decided to apply for charges against Trevor Garrett Taylor in the death of Mr. Christopher Wright. I just don't understand, and it's probably because we don't have enough information on it. But I've been in enough of these situations in the past where the evidence is there at the scene. Statements are there. Yes, you're going to have conflicting statements. Obviously, those four guys are going to have the same story because they're on the same side. But the way it was originally reported, the day after the incident, was exactly as I reported it here now, and the way I reported it back in episode 44.2 of Monday Morning Detective. And that was that they went over there, the fight between the kids didn't occur, so they took it upon themselves. And this was the going story. How that may have changed to raise questions, I don't know. Maybe times have changed. Obviously, times have changed, especially when it comes to law enforcement. But I know have that exact situation had taken place when we were working. Well, the homicide detectives would have had, final say on it. And they work closely with the state's attorney's office. But I can tell you, as the officer, let's say the first officer at the scene, we would have hooked these guys, all four of them, for at least manslaughter. Now, they would get processed, and if they, if detectives or the state attorney's office wanted to release them on their own recognizance or on a bond, that would have happened. Or they could have stayed in jail until the trial. It certainly wouldn't have been unlawful prosecution. Their actions resulted in the death of someone else. So it's not like they could have turned around and sued for being held in custody or anything of that nature. So I think politics has a lot to do with this. Maryland is an extremely liberal state. And I think nowadays liberal states would rather have suspects in crimes, major crimes, violent crimes, walking free until all the information is gathered. That's my personal assessment. But the good news is that they have now filed charges against at least one of the suspects. Charges are manslaughter, 3 counts of second-degree assault, affray, and disorderly conduct. So with all these secondary charges, there's going to be a plea agreement. And it's not going to involve manslaughter. I can tell you that right now. Might be negligent homicide, or something along those lines, or aggravated assault, some kind of plea agreement, and potentially time served. And that's probably all we're going to see at this. So with that, that'll put a bow on it for now until we get results down the line, at which I'll do a follow-up on that. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the Monday Morning Detective Podcast YouTube channel. And again, we have 53 episodes. So we talk about the rights and the wrongs of law enforcement regarding the investigations of various crimes throughout the United States. Okay, so that'll do it. That'll conclude episode 53, and we'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.